Good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for coming. I'm Jennifer Taylor, Time for Change Penticton, and thank you all for taking time out of your Monday nights to be here. And special thanks to Corey at Dogtown Cafe for staying open a bit late for us tonight. I think this is a fabulous venue. I don't know if you heard us, but anyway, I noticed there's actually quite a few candidates in the room tonight. I'm delighted that you're here, but I just want to be really clear, this is a meeting for those in the group Time for Change Penticton. I think it's fabulous you're here, so maybe you'll get a stronger sense of some of the issues. I'm sure if you've been reading our wall, you're getting a pretty strong sense of what some of our issues are anyway. Really what we wanted to do tonight is many of you have either messaged me privately or other members of the founders of Time for Change, of which some of them are in the audience tonight. If you just wanted to do a quick raising of the hand, we've got Marissa McPherson over here. And just a little background, some of you may recall this started out with the headbanging juggy t-shirts that were a bit of a tongue-in-cheek, brilliant way to say, you know what, we'd like to be heard and our voices are important. And that evolved into Time for Change. There was certainly a lot of media attention around it, and we're up to 3,150 members. But what has happened, and the main reason why I wanted to have this meeting tonight is the group was originally formed to educate and inform and motivate, inspire, call it what you will, the younger voter. And what I saw starting to happen is a lot of the older, more, let's call them sophisticated voter who also want change in Penticton started to get more actively involved and engaged on the page. And what's kind of started to happen is all of this lively, well-informed discussion is kind of not scaring away. I think that would be a little bit excessive to say scaring away, but what it's doing it's quieting that younger voter. And what we're really doing is a disservice to ourselves by having some of the more vocal opinions being on the wall and not necessarily some of those more perhaps innocent questions or thoughts or ideas. And we really want it to be a group that is inclusive, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, the primary purpose was to get that younger voter exchanging ideas, because quite frankly, they are the future of Penticton. They, as Lori posted this morning, they're going to inherit this city. And if we can't get them engaged, we've all got a problem, especially if we want to continue to live here. So that was really what kind of spawned this meeting on tonight. I just wanted to give you an idea of what we're looking at doing. This is not set in stone. We're here to discuss this tonight, and if the idea doesn't fly, then it won't happen. But my goal is that as you can look around, there's a lot of more informed voters in the room tonight. So what does that mean for all of us? We all want Time for Change to be successful, i.e. we want change in Penticton, and we know the way it is right now, it's not working, and we need it to work better for us. So we're throwing out the idea. I've seen some people say, well, you're not going to tell us who to vote for, are you? And I'm like, no, we're not, but there is, I'm not sure if you guys are aware of what an electoral organization is. Is anybody in the room familiar with the concept? So I see a few nods, a couple of hands up. Okay, for those of you who are not aware of what an electoral organization is, it allows us to have a little more power in supporting people who we think would do a great job for this city. And what that means is it legally allows us to go get some fundraising to help back candidates that we believe would be good for this city. It also allows us to advertise and promote those we believe who will be good for this city. Who decides who those candidates are? Not just me, but us. And that's what the next phase, called Vision Penticton, would be. And it is an electoral organization. It follows very strict rules from Elections BC, which includes having to have a financial officer, several executives of that board, and we will then be able to place advertising, discuss which candidates we want to back. And why do we want to do this? Well, if we rewind to 2011, we had 19 candidates throw their hat in the ring for the election. What that does in a town of our size, it dilutes the vote. So you've got 18 candidates and maybe 40, on average, 4,500 people showing up, maybe a little bit more than that. And they're all sharing those votes. So what happens sometimes is somebody who maybe has deeper pockets, or somebody who had more signs on a lawn, or get elected, whereas maybe there was somebody over here who had a hell of a platform that we all agreed to, they got 60 votes. So what we'd like to see is backing some candidates that we believe in, and we'll vet them, we'll all meet with them, we'll all ask them tough-hitting questions. We're looking at active ways. Oh my goodness gracious, you're right over there, and I didn't introduce him. Sorry. Kevin Cruteau from Local Supporting Locals. He likes to refer to himself as what? The calendar man?
Well, I'm known as the calendar guy. I lost my first name, so I'm just the calendar guy.
Okay, the calendar guy. Kevin has, for those of you who are not familiar, Kevin's actually been very active in civic politics. He led the war against smart meters in Penticton. He's extremely well informed of a lot of the back stuff that goes on, and suffice to say, very passionate about what he does. He has a radio show and he has a YouTube channel. He's filming this because we want to take snippets of it and post it on the YouTube channel for those who weren't able to attend tonight. So back to candidates, who's throwing their hat in the ring? Well, to date, we have, I believe, 6 who have thrown their hat in the ring, but we know there's a much deeper list that they have up until October 10th to make their final decision of whether or not they're going to be running. And we want to interview them, and we will be doing it via the internet so that more people can access this. It will be like in a live webinar forum, so that, you know, we're not going to drag you all down to the lakeside. I know that's probably going to happen too, but we believe that this is probably a more impactful way and a stronger way to get members of this group engaged. And so that's one of our objectives. And then we decide who best matches our mandate. I brought copies along of a draft mandate. This is not etched in stone. What I'll probably do is get this in an online avenue so that you can read it. Maybe we collectively edit it. I'm not sure at this point. But I do have copies for you guys to take a look. If somebody wouldn't mind, they're just on the top there. If you want to just start handing them out, and I'll give you guys a chance to review them. But what I'd like to do is read one. I forgot to bring it up here. I'm so far away from I need I guess there was one right here. Okay. Would you guys like me to just read through this so you can get a sense of what we're up to over here? So this, unlike Time for Change Penticton, which is a group where we just talk about, as you all know, very passionately, things that are going on in the city, but do we have any political pull? Nope. All we are doing is we're talking. So we are talking, informing, and engaging, which is ultimately great because it's educating people. But what we'd like to do is become, as I mentioned, an elector organization. So I'll just read it out here. Vision Penticton is a civically focused political organization. We stand for the following: inspire and educate younger voters and those wanting positive change for Penticton to exercise their democratic right. 2, support the election of the most suitable candidates for the offices of mayor and city councilors of the city of Penticton. Suitability will be based on vision, integrity, capability, devotion to an economically viable Penticton, and broad public trust. Support the hiring and fostering of professional, experienced civic management at every level in the city of Penticton to run our city with proven best practices and innovative thinking. City management should not be political. They must be focused on what they do best for our city, its taxpayers and residents over the long term. Manage the city's budget with the utmost prudence and respect for every single dollar of taxpayers' money. The city's budget and financial records must be open, transparent, and understandable. Where permitted by governing law and technical capability, data on civic operations and activities should be freely accessible by private citizens in real time. Support the thorough engagement of neighborhoods and listen sincerely to the opinions of citizens regarding any development or redevelopment in our neighborhoods. We will carefully pursue density planning to create affordable housing options while respecting existing neighborhoods. Build a vibrant Penticton economy by growing businesses, working in harmony with the Penticton Indian Band, promoting innovation and embracing entrepreneurship to foster well-paying jobs and economic opportunities for Penticton residents. We respect the businesses that create the jobs that support our city, and we want to and will foster their success. Develop and continually enhance our transportation system and infrastructure to serve all Penticton residents. We support properly planned bike lanes that do not negatively impact our city, its residents, or businesses. Support smart environmental policies and practices that stand the test of time. Encourage a dynamic arts and culture sector that respects and values the artists living and working in our communities and the contribution they make to the vibrancy, success, and well-being of our city. And finally, create, maintain, and enhance our public beaches, parks, gardens, facilities, and community centers to provide culturally rich and healthy experiences for Penticton residents. So that is, in essence, the laundry list of the mandate of what we would like to do with Vision Penticton. I also want to set the record very straight. I am not running. I know there's all these rumors and everything. Yes, I've been asked a lot if I'm going to, but I'm not running. So I want to make that very clear so that you don't think no interest. So what does this mean and why are we doing this? Does it make sense, the idea of the, having, let me be clear on something. You can, as an electoral organization, have your name beside a candidate that you endorse on the ballot. Typically and historically in Penticton, and quite frankly a lot of smaller communities, that's not a successful way to go about things. So we will not be having Vision Penticton on the ballot. But it does mean, like when you see lawn signs, for example, when our lawns all start to be cluttered with all the candidates, they will have a branded look. So it'll become clear to the voter that this is a candidate that Vision Penticton supports. So what that does, it's basically saying they've gone through the scrutiny, we believe they'll live up to our mandate and best represent us here. So, it doesn't mean that you have to vote for these people. I saw that comment a few times in the Time for Change group. I'm like, oh good God, we're not an autocracy. No, you have every right to vote for whoever you want. But we feel that the only way to sort of push through that thou shalt not change older vote in Penticton. Are we familiar with how that can work in Penticton? Yeah, so that's what we're really trying to do here, is have a collective that says, you know what, we do want change and we don't want to keep the status quo. So if that means that new faces, not all but a lot of new faces happen to come onto council that mirror what we would like to see for this city, then that's what we want to do. Words have been spread around like clean sweep of council and whatnot. Really all we're looking for strategically is a majority. So if we can find 4 solid councillor candidates of a total of 6, that means if a vote happens, guess what? Well, we all know that 4 is a majority in a group of 6. So ultimately, that is what we would like to do. That's what we're aspiring to do. Whether or not is it possible? Well, we don't have that big list of candidates who've thrown their hat in the ring. I'm curious, and I know some of you are in the room, but aside from the ones that we know about, who else in this room tonight is considering throwing their hat in the ring? Okay, wow, this is great. I had no idea. Okay, so I know Jason Cox. Could you introduce yourself?
Janine Nicholas.
Janine Nicholas, and you, sir?
I'm Paul Sept.
Paul Sept. Oh, I've communicated with. See, everybody looks different on Facebook.
I'm much more handsome in real life.
That must have been it, Paul. And I believe, Brian, you had your hand up.
Brian Knights, and I'm running for city council.
Okay, and
David Cornetts, I ran 3 years ago.
perfect, and Mr. Martin?
I'm running, yes. Andre Martin.
Well, you gotta introduce yourself too. You can't assume anything. And anybody else that I missed? Who's that? I can't see.
I just came in, Tariq Saeed.
Oh, we got Tariq Saeed, and we got Mr. Jacobin, and
Rick Powell.
Rick Powell. So you know what I'd really like, guys, when we wrap up, I'd love to get all of your contact information as well. So the other areas, like maybe what we do is we discuss the concept and then I'll move forward with other thoughts and whatnot. I'm sure there's going to be lots of comments and questions. This is, as I say, not etched in stone, so let's feel you out a little bit. What are your thoughts on this? Jim?
So, great list, fabulous list. If all this happened, what a great Penticton we'd be. These are motherhood and health and care issues that I expect to see on just about every councilor's list coming out of this election. How are you, as a group, planning on deciding who you support and who you don't?
We had talked initially that there would be representatives one from the social agency, one from the business community, some ladies, throw me some of the groups. Tracy?
Yeah, I'm
Because you're really good at this.
sorry.
We had a broad cross-section of the community, and what we want to do is develop a list of questions. This isn't somebody's platform, Jim. This is what's important to us, and then a list of questions will be developed, and then all the candidates will be invited to come on camera on this webinar. Everybody will be asked exactly the same questions, and then there's ways that we can literally vote on the spot, like live voting, to see how we like that candidate, and those results will be shared, and quite frankly, may the best candidate win. Anybody else? Helma? Oh yeah, that's exactly what this is coming from. Actually, I looked at the Nonpartisan Association of Vancouver, and in fact, we looked at the Nonpartisan Association Penticton, but it came out as NPAP, and a few gentlemen said, that sounds like a pap smear, so we decided, okay, that one really doesn't work. So, hence the Vision Penticton. It's very similar to their platform. Yes?
Hi. So I'm going over the list and I'm looking at a couple of concerns. Over and over again on the Facebook group, we're constantly seeing the same 3 or 4 topics come up, and there's discussion about them. And it seems to me that in the areas of economic development, housing, employment issues, that we can ask questions about that, and they want. I would rather see us as a group, somehow or another, develop some kind of potential draft position paper and some suggestions directly out of the Facebook page that people have made, and to put those in and to ask people who are running for office how they think, what they think about that. Would
Great
they be
idea.
willing to support something? So this is really nice, but it doesn't say anything on a to-do list.
Oh,
I'd rather
absolutely.
see candidates with a to-do list.
Mhm.
And the other thing is that I just wanted to say that I thought a lot of people joined the Facebook group because they felt alienated and disenfranchised in the community, and that if we want to reach a younger group, the millennials, that this kind of meeting is not something I think they come to. So I think we need to relook at our communication strategy in terms of what's working for millennials, where are they hanging out, and how are we reaching out to them.
You're absolutely right, and that's precisely why we're looking to branch out so that the older, more informed, quite frankly, more engaged voter would get more actively involved with Vision Penticton. All of that information will be shared. All that information will be shared with the Time for Change Penticton, which, quite frankly, should be focusing on the younger voter. That's why we're going to online forums. This tonight was a matter of getting everybody in the same room. When you're discussing something like this, it shouldn't necessarily be online. The mandate at this particular juncture is a broad scope look at what we should be, like what's important to us. But then we absolutely have to look at where do we stand exactly on economic development, on housing, on employment, and get that laundry list of platforms that we need to get the candidates to discuss.
I think it's the council's job to direct some of the staff to be looking at some outside of the box kind of thinking. The other thing I just wanted to say was I noticed that before we got into the formal part of the meeting, a lot of people were gathering together and talking and tossing around ideas. Perhaps we ought to have a water cooler day where we just stand around the water cooler and talk about things that are important to us.
Would love to do that. I think that's a great idea. And that's precisely, I mean, it's got to start somewhere else.
I know.
And what we're doing
I'm
here
not
is,
saying this isn't a good idea, I'm just saying.
and I'm not suggesting that you're saying that. What I'm trying to get at is we have to start somewhere. And if people are just sitting around talking, nothing's going to get done. Water coolers are great, but sometimes you got to take that first step forward and move it into action. And that's what we're trying to do here. And if we can become more formal, it means we can get funding, it means we can run campaigns, it means we can advertise, and we can actually make change. Because quite frankly, talk is cheap. We need action now. And I'm feeling that from some of the more older, experienced voters in the group. The group has been kind of taken over by the older, experienced voter, and it's defeating the purpose of what that group was intended for initially, and that was to motivate and inspire the younger voter. Go ahead.
Hi, Mr. Cranky here. I do represent the older, more informed group, and I'm more concerned, being a member of this group, and I hope some of my wisdom has come through on the Facebook site, but I do represent a group of voters from the east of Main Street, kind of small home ratepayers, a group, and we want to get together and form a ratepayers association. That had nothing really to encourage the young people to vote, because we don't have any young people. We've got no kids in our neighborhood. We're all just a bunch of gray hairs. But we are wise, informed, and we have voted for years and years and years. So we want something from your manifesto that I can take back to my newly formed Ratepayers Association, which is probably down to just me and my neighbors, that says that we would definitely back you with as much wisdom as we could on the things that have worked in the past and the things that don't work. You have to realize, this group has got to realize, if we get a campaign going from those who are in office, the seniors will vote for those people because of name recognition.
Absolutely.
And that's the only thing that's made them vote over the years, and I've been fighting it and fighting
You're
it for
spot
25
on.
years. So if we as ratepayers, because we have more pull at City Hall simply because we are the taxpayers and they have to listen to us, can certainly spread that wisdom over this group and help with the marketing of the particular people you want to back. I just want to say that, Jennifer, don't leave us out.
Like, but that's what we're, next steps, let's start connecting, let's form this group and let's put this stuff into play. Andrew was next, and then Helmut, you had your hand up, Andrew?
I'm just curious further on the strategy to engage that younger voter, that apathetic voter, the voter who I could care less, all politicians are this or all politicians, city halls, they're going to do what they want to do, and whatever their excuse is for not engaging, for not feeling that their voice or their vote actually makes a difference or matters, and whether it's trips to the polling station or just because talk is cheap and social media can all the buzz, but you look at the last provincial election, social media was a big buzz, but those people that are really active actually didn't go out and vote. And your manifesto doesn't have the punch that it needs if people aren't coming to vote. The seniors, they're used to voting. They voted every year.
Oh, I know.
Right?
Yeah.
And so if you want to introduce some change, and I think there should be some change, well then we need to engage those who feel disengaged, disenchanted.
And I'm going to let Marissa answer that, because that's precisely what we've been discussing over the last, well, forever.
It's not just telling people to go out and vote, it's educating them on the candidates running, the various platforms, so on and so forth, how their vote will make a difference in their community. It's not just throwing names out there, but how voting for a certain set of council will affect every aspect. The school their kid goes to, the different traffic around their school. Who you vote for is going to affect that. The different events held within the city. Who you vote for is going to affect that. If you don't like what's happening in the city, if you don't go out and vote, you can't bitch about it. You got to get out there. And social media, there's so many different vessels that we can use to get the word out there. And also time is an issue. Who wants to sit around the water cooler day in, day out? I have children. I take my kids to hockey in the winter, to the ski hill on the weekends. So, like, I work full time. Life is busy. You can't be devoting day after day after day to discuss when everybody's got their agenda, everybody stands for certain things. Educate people on what's going on, and they'll make it when they need to make it. You just need to let them know that their vote actually counts and what it will do and how it will impact the community.
And to add to Marissa, there was a report by the Toronto Star in, I think it was May of 2011, and it talked specifically to motivating the youth vote. Their number one concern was they had no real understanding of who the candidates were. To address Alex's comment, let's let City Hall or like the city should be like taking care of that. We believe that this online way of putting faces and names together right now, all they see are these lawn signs and it's irrelevant to them. So we're going to engage them online. So it's kind of like Vision Penticton is sort of like the older sibling to Time for Change.
Wait.
We will work together on it, and this forum, this concept of the online, that's what they want, and they will be front of the line for asking the questions, and we'll make that exciting for them. Like we just know this forum doesn't work. Look around you. We've got a few, of the ones who are more engaged, and quite frankly, some of them are with their parents. So back to you, Marissa. You had
Yeah, like I've got kids. I work full time. I'm not retired. We don't have much time, and a lot of the time it is easier to engage online. and get the word out that
And
way.
we just need them out for one day. That's it. And unfortunately, the laws are that you can't wave a carrot in front of their nose, which I wish we could, but we can help them really understand. And that is why that Facebook group was set up, because they got excited that they were getting media coverage and people were hearing them about the t-shirts, and then all of a sudden everybody else's issues kind of took over where they were trying to, so let's let them breathe and let's make action steps over here. And quite frankly, some of those members will probably hop into helping out with Vision Penticton anyway. Marissa, did you want to add to that?
I forgot what I was going to say.
Go ahead, Tracy.
I want to add just a few things. One is, I think using Kevin, who's allowing his services to things like this. I mean, I'm busy, I was working full-time, I have 2 kids, I'm involved in the community all different ways. That's how I view what happens in our community is Kevin's YouTube channel. That's how I watch everything. That's how I watched Alina Slump in her 26 minutes. That's how I watched the paper bag lunch last week, 46 minutes, because I can sit at 10 o'clock at night and I can watch this because my kids are in bed. I may not be able to come out into the community and enjoy something like this. Lots of people are single parents, they don't have a sitter, they don't have regular kids. But another important
Doesn't mean they don't care.
No,
And that's the part that's a little bit frustrating. I've had some feedback. Oh, nobody showed up to the press conference. Oh, nobody went to the last city council meeting. Guess what? Watched it online. Watched the whole thing online. Fast forwarded through a few areas that I wasn't interested in, but I watched the whole thing online. That's how the younger voter works. So that's why we're going to reach them in their world. But guess what? Stuff still needs to get done. Lawn signs still need to go into lawns. Marketing campaign materials need to be published. Telephone calls still need to happen. There's still stuff that has to happen. And the reality is, the older generation, and it's the reality, this isn't exclusive to Penticton, the older generation typically gets more involved with activities like that, and that's where we're counting on the sort of the older sibling of the group to get more actively engaged. Go ahead.
I mean, you can actually put a carrot in front of their face. It's more about bringing it into their wheelhouse. The youth, you have to give them something to root for. And for the 18 and plus who are voting, they don't care about property taxes. They don't care about economic stability. You have to find something that they're interested in, that you can keep them interested in. Because as soon as you start wavering, I mean, there's going to be other points, but as soon as you start just talking about things that don't matter to a 20-year-old, they don't care anymore. Yep.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
It's the only way to keep the youth out.
Okay, as somebody who's going to run, keep that in mind, I am candidate, so take it that way. But I would recommend what you do is approach all the candidates and ask them a simple question like, what do you have to offer the young people should you get elected?
Absolutely. And well, that was the other person on the panel.
And post
You.
all of that for them to see that.
youth, seniors, and a PIB member, I remember.
That's right, yeah, sorry to interrupt. Yes, you're spot on. And in fact, there was a suggestion that perhaps a youth committee be formed with the city as well. And
somebody from the college or something.
yeah, from somebody from the college. Oh, Hilma.
Yeah, I was just going to say, from the outside looking in, it looks like you've got actually 2 things going in sync together. One of which, like you say, is the Vision Penticton, and the other is like the Time for Change group. So I'm wondering how can we help you facilitate that in terms of getting that younger vote out?
That's a fantastic question. I really, not just we really hope. Go ahead, Helma.
I was just saying, it looks like there's 2 things going in parallel together, where you've got the Time for Change people plus the Vision Penticton. And what I'm suggesting is there a way that the Time for the Vision Penticton people can help support getting that youth vote out. And your suggestions around youth committees, if you look right now on the committees in Penticton City, there are spots for youth on those committees. So there's already a mechanism there to engage the youth, but again, if it's not something they're particularly interested in, they probably don't turn up.
I have something to say to that. I don't think it's particularly being marketed to the youth in a way that they will be even receptive to it. I haven't
But I
seen
think that's
any
your,
postings
that's
for.
the job of your group, isn't it?
Yeah,
To
that's
get
exactly what
out.
they're-
Exactly.
purposes.
I'm
Yes.
extremely involved in the community. I volunteer with fundraisers. I'm a regular blood donor. Lots of different things. I heard the radio commercial 1-882 donate. That's why I started donating blood. Like, Hilma, you do the incredible edibles. I found out about your program through Time for Change Penticton. Social media is the way to go, and I
I'm
understand
thinking
this.
back to Barack Obama, who really captured that young vote. You
Yes.
know, and we don't have those, I don't have those expertise, but your generation does, and I think that's your
Certainly.
moment to shine.
And one thing that we want to be very clear about, that Time for Change Penticton will always remain a discussion group for educating, not just about all the issues going on in and around Penticton, but obviously it's election time, so introducing all the candidates that are throwing their hat into the ring, not just the ones that may be backed by Vision Penticton when it gets to be where, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but the goal there is that
It
we
will
work collectively on that because we all want the same thing.
Mhm.
But it became very clear that one way of getting there and another way of getting there, as you say, are like parallel paths. And there's the more traditional voter, and then there's the newer, younger voter. And your example of Barack Obama, that's how he won, was through social media. And a lot of them were actually just social media experts. And we're on it. Like, that is very much a part of, like, where we've got a Twitter now. It probably could be more aggressive, but once we have this, I mean, this all came about pretty quickly. So we're just evolving as we go, and your input is fantastic because it helps us.
If you can have a group turn up in the mall and do a dance, you know, then I'm pretty sure you could have a whole group turn up and go and vote.
Well, maybe that's something you need to put on the site though, because until she said something about there being a youth council, I've lived here for 5 years, I knew nothing
Well, it's
about
not
it.
Exactly.
on all of the committees.
But I never even knew that.
Yeah,
I knew there was no
So
place.
that's all part of educating.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Spot on.
But that's,
Like,
unless you
case
get
in
that,
point, right?
unless it's on the radio or on social media,
You're
your
absolutely
youth
right.
is not, you know,
Which-
sitting. Yeah.
Oh, I want to just add, please, if you are a part of like a, nonprofit or something, and you need volunteers, share it to the Time for Change Penticton group, please, because there are youth out there that want to help out. I know it.
Well-
You just gotta ask.
And that young lady that, Olivia Bavaria, who started that organization to help with mental health. I mean, this is not, you said it perfectly. If it's an issue that affects them, great, but they're zoning out because we're talking about things on that page that they, quite frankly, couldn't care less about. It's the classic what's in it for me. That is marketing 101. So that's why we just want to clean it up a little bit so that we can go on and on about things that are important to our generation that isn't really triggering them, but we all want the same thing ultimately.
Jennifer?
Yes.
On the Time for Change Facebook page, there's a file tab.
Yes.
And I think it'd be really good if we could use that more often for different subjects.
Absolutely. Well, if we move to this Vision Penticton, it will be a Facebook page. And what happens is it allows us to advertise, it allows us to respond to that exact comment as opposed to following through a thread and going, oh good God, I didn't respond to that. And we're all seeing it. It can be a bit of a dog's breakfast. And so can the tabs are far more identifiable, and so it gives us more structure. The group, on the other hand, is better for conversation and dialogue, and that's why it's done. And you can reach to the members, whereas with the Facebook page, there's far more restrictions, and you can't do a blast to a Facebook page.
Basically, with the Facebook page, if somebody likes your page, it's a qualified supporter. Whereas with our group, we've invited a bunch of people to our open group. So until they leave our discussion group, they've kind of joined it, right? So that was our way of
Building it.
getting people to join the conversation. We don't want to be forcing this supporting Vision Penticton upon people. We still want to keep Time for Change a discussion place for issues in Penticton and what's
Everybody's welcome.
Exactly.
But what we're hoping though is that we really allow that page to be a safe forum for the younger voter. And it really has started going off in a different direction. Yes.
If you want to engage the younger voter, the first thing you have to do is overcome the inertia that they all have about politics, where I hear them say all the time, politics doesn't mean anything to me, it has no impact on my life whatsoever. And the first thing that this group has to do is find a group of young people who could be digital influencers.
Absolutely.
And then get out there and spread the word that every single thing they do in their lives comes down to politics.
And
if they
that's
don't
going to
have
be
a
on their
voice,
agenda.
then they stand for whatever happens to them.
Yeah, well, we had that chat just before we came in, was they don't get it, but their vote is going to decide their future. And there's lots of things, I mean, this isn't something that's indicative just to this community.
Oh, no.
This is global. And
we stopped teaching civics in our high schools in 1970. So
probably
we have
didn't
two
help matters.
generations of kids who know absolutely nothing about how our political systems function.
Kevin,
Yes.
I was getting on camera.
Okay, so here's a question for the group here, because I put posts on there that of things that I feel I am very concerned about. Like, number one, in order to have, in our community, we need to be healthy, number one, to make informed decisions. So I'm very passionate about my real food. Now, anybody who knows or has a calendar, if you haven't heard or seen it yet, I'm quite surprised, but I'm a persistent little bugger, so eventually we'll get one. But so we're against genetic modification, plain God. So we promote organic and natural farmers through the calendar and everything else that we do. But then we also find that there are people that are part of this group that may or may not be investors into this technology, but now all of a sudden we get this battle that takes place, and some people who have personally messaged me, you know, like some consider this to be it shouldn't be a political issue. You know, like, so what do you do? Because people have been removed, the comments get deleted. I've seen it happen myself where, you know, they're like calling out for the moderator, this shouldn't be up, this isn't appropriate.
But there's a difference between a healthy discussion and berating or attacking someone else.
Yes.
And that's why they were removed. Healthy discussion, you're allowed to have your own opinions and you're allowed to say what you want to say, but as soon as it turns dirty, then you've lost your right to be a part of that group.
Well, sometimes it's like I've made a post myself personally, and sometimes I won't even make a comment, I'll just let the discussion go, but it winds up getting removed because somebody else goes after it. Sometimes that's done intentionally.
If it ends up getting if it gets spammed with abusive posts, we have kids, like I said before, the moderators on that page, like we have work, we have kids, we try to keep up with everything, but if a post is going to be nailed with abusive comment after abusive comment after abusive comment, we can't keep up, we need to remove the post. I'm actually very passionate, I'm totally for the non-GMO thing, I honestly am. So that's my personal belief, you know, I am willing to listen to everybody in the community, everybody needs to have a voice here.
Well, I'm just throwing this out here to the group too, because I mean, I'm following and being actively involved here because I like what I see here. Locals supporting locals will be either promoting or hosting information seminars right up into the election, so people are free to come out, view these information seminars, and decide for yourself. You know, and that's the same thing when we had the Smart Meter Public Forum, like you pointed out. And when I invited all the city councilors, like Andrew over here, you got both sides of the story. Now you have an informed decision, now decide where you stand. So I'm just throwing it out there that we will be having information seminars, and it's up to you. And we don't force our opinions on you either, but we just need to be properly informed.
Go ahead.
You were talking about if you form this vision group, it allows you to get funding. Is part of that funding for an educational purpose?
It can be,
We
absolutely.
talked about that.
Yeah.
We talked about forums with youth.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
questions that are important to them.
That's what I was
Then
thinking
asking
of, is
them
going
to
to high schools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been
Oh, yeah,
actually
yeah.
doing
It's-
seminar with top of our list.
Yeah.
Top of our
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Like, because there's a lot of 18-year-olds that.
Just about ready to.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
great, well, if they ever
yes.
get to go to school.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just want to say that this really makes sense to me. Like, I can see exactly where you're going with this, and I think it's awesome, and I'm ready to be a part of it. And I think that it's a great way for the two things to work together and serve both demographics that you're trying to target. And like, I would love to see, like, you know, little snapshots, like profile pictures of the candidates that we're supporting with a little blurb. Like, really, I mean, I'm a working mom too, so I've got, you know, mini breaks on my phone where I have time to read a paragraph. And yeah, so this is definitely the
And that's
kind
been
of
the biggest concern for not just the youth vote, but also the older voter as well. It's how do you get, unless you like read, quite frankly, a fairly skinny profile in the local press, how do you dig deep? And it's all sunshine and lollipops half the time. If we're on an online webinar type forum, and all the candidates are there, these guys do a bang-up job through their social media and networking with ambassadors. I love that idea, and I hope that you will work with us to help mobilize these, you know, youth ambassadors. There is a group that, it was an initiative that was funded by the Community Foundation of the South Okanagan. It's called the Yes Project. They're just going, well, the STRIKE, has kind of pushed them back a little bit, but the idea was they're going into the schools, they're discussing civic politics with the students. They'll be approaching the leadership courses that a lot of these kids engage in, and they're going to hopefully get some time in a general forum. So they're all about, they love what we're up to, and they want to be a part of it. So there's some more legs into the, you know, more of a, into that 18-year-old voter. They don't feel their vote's important because nobody's really helped them understand how important it is. It's about as simple as that. So this isn't rocket science. Marissa's made it very, you know, poignant that nobody's really asked them, nobody's really helped them, and here we are in Time for Change talking amongst ourselves, and they're all over here like, yeah, but I'm not going to say anything. I mean, I've got somebody who, before they post, they say, Jen, does this make sense? Should I put this on the, I'm like, oh my God, it's a great idea, throw it up there, you know? So that's why, let them be there for one another. But yeah, well, the money will definitely go. Andrew.
So just on timelines, if October 10th is the last day it's someone can file your candidacy, by the 14th, the official cycle starts, October 14th. To have your online forum, we have everyone interviewed, maybe, and I would suggest some follow-up questions from the weeks thereafter, so it's not just 3 hour, it'll get too big for 3 hours anyways. But
Oh, editing. Do you want to edit the videos?
For colleagues that want that. Anyways, at what point do you say, here's our 2 weeks, here's our X time for vetting who we think? We've asked some initial questions. We got through the sunshine and lollipops. We got to some of the heavy hitting questions. Now we have to make a decision on who. And I don't know if you're gonna decide to back 6 people in hopes, or if you're going to pick whoever the best are, and if it happens to be 3 or happen to be 4, that's who it is.
Yeah.
At what point do you say, okay, world, this is who we endorse, and for the next 2 weeks they can put the little sticker on those signs, or that's when your advertising campaign goes behind here?
That's a great question in terms of timelines. Let's just back up a little bit. If we get a quorum that, you know, we feel this is a good idea and this is the route we should go, we will make an announcement publicly, i.e. the media, that this is what, and social media and whatnot, that this is what we're doing, this is how we're going to go about it. My gut says that will bring people out of the woodwork faster when we're completely transparent with what we're up to and why we're doing it. So that will shorten the timeline, and quite frankly, we'll have to collectively decide what's the cutoff date for us. And if somebody misses that deadline, then clearly they don't want to be part of what we're up to. So that'll give us the time to answer your question about the 3-hour gobs and gobs. Isn't that what great editing is all about? And I don't mean cut their answers. I mean, let's segment it, make it searchable. Like, okay, if you're interested in youth issues, here's the YouTube area for that. If you're interested in employment, if you're interested in housing, so each interview may take a little bit of time, absolutely, but I think through the categorization of it all, and there will be a website, so that it'll be there as well. Marissa?
Quite frankly, if there's enough support to push forward with the Vision Penticton thing, everybody needs to get their poop together, and if you're running, then get your paperwork in.
Call us, you know?
Exactly, so we can do interviews, and, you know, if you haven't gotten your paperwork in, how are we supposed to
Help
back you? And what candidate doesn't want help with marketing and the advertising and everything like that, fundraising? Come on, guys.
So that's the essence of it, is
Let's
we
do it.
publicly will come out and say what we're up to, Andrew, and then it's up to the candidates to decide, right? Go ahead, Jim.
What happens after the election with this group specifically? Are you going to
Love that question. Lobby. Watchdog. We're be vocal, collectively.
Accountability is a big
All of
thing.
it. It totally is. So it's like we've helped back you guys. Where are you going with this? And we need a proper I mean, James Miller cannot be the only political watchdog in this city. And at this point, or God love her, Alvina, you know, it's our city. And that's the only frustration I have about municipal politics, is there's no opposition. We voted them in, and, you know, well, let's not get into the Alvina conversation, but you know where I'm going. So, anybody else? Go ahead.
I want to bring up, I was a clerk for the provincial election, and at Uplands School, and I sat there till at least 12:30 before the first person that was young came to vote. The advanced poll, though, and this is what we haven't hit up on at all in this meeting tonight, the advanced poll seems to be a magic thing for a lot of younger people, because what you said, Marissa, your time is extremely valuable. And if they can go to that advanced poll, and I'm sure the councillor could say, the advanced poll is going to be happening when? And it's at Cherry Lane?
Yeah, November 5 and 6.
There's 2 advanced polls, one's there, one's at City Hall, right?
Okay,
Sure.
and that's exactly, that's
The one that will affect the youth is the one November 5th at Cherry Lane.
okay, that's the one that I think we, as an organization, as a group here, people, we should really focus on that, because that's a place where they can go and do their shopping at, say, St. Vaughan or London Drugs, and then they can go and vote.
Is there free
Because
busing?
it's
And
not,
there is free busing.
nothing against going to City Hall.
Why
it's
isn't
actually
there free
voting.
busing on advance polling, just on the
There
actual?
are other talked about, it's just the main poll.
Just on the main polling day?
But it's on, the beauty is though, it's easily accessible, it's on the bus route. And Andrew, I thought they were making, I think they, in that council meeting, they said that yes, there will be free transportation on the advanced poll as well. I'm like 99% sure, but you're the counselor, so.
I'm not as sure as you are, because I remember him quoting a price per day in November.
And that's why I said it would be easy to do, because there was about
Yeah, because it was
$1,500.
$1,400
Yeah.
for one day in November.
Yeah.
And that's
one day.
One day.
Well, but that's something we
Let me
can
just-
talk about, right?
Let me just
Okay, sorry.
pick up on that, because that day could be the magic day for this organization.
For the
Because
youth.
even, and I think the number was $1,200 that they said it would cost the transit system that day if it was free. I kind of remember reading that. But I think that day could be strategic for the organization, because if there's a storefront and there's a few that are not being used in that mall, that this organization could storefront for the day or for the week, or we pay for that through money, depending on how close we can be to the polling station. And that situation needs to be looked at through. So there may be a situation where that may be really valuable to the organization. I guess my point is on that. Then the other thing is Twitter. I work in radio, and I heard from somebody that had worked in radio recently about the radio station I work for not using Twitter as best as they could. No, but I think Twitter is the magic one because those 140 characters or less, if you use 100 characters and you're able to go at Choice Penticton to get people to pass the word through Twitter. Don't use the whole conversation, and pass that conversation to come and go to that advanced poll, which isn't a stodgy city hall. Nothing to put down. I mean, certainly in the city hall a lot, but
Or
it
the
takes that
convention
whole,
center.
it takes that out of that whole thing, and it makes it a real comfortable place. And if this organization is somewhere near that during that day, you know, or whatever it is, well, we can find that out. That's
100 meters,
Well,
that's
there's
100 meters. I know something, but leading up to it, it's just the day of, you have to be 100 meters.
Because I really truly think if you can get the vote out on that day, an advanced poll,
Yeah,
you need
it's
3,000
a great
votes.
idea, and it's a great way to get the youth vote out. I mean, it is, and it's on the list of things to do, so. Yeah, well, this is the other thing, go ahead, sorry.
I was just gonna say, just on the same note, I don't think a lot of youth are aware of the fact that their employer is required to let them leave to vote. So
That's
if
another
they're
form of
that
education.
is a huge, that's a big excuse that most people have, is I can't go, I gotta work 9 till 5, and then I gotta eat dinner, and
It's
I'm never
their
gonna
law,
make it to
it's the
school.
law.
They have to be allowed to leave to vote.
And the
I think it's a
advanced poll's
4-hour period.
Yeah, and if you
too.
tell a 19-year-old they got an hour,
4
they
hours.
4 hours they can
I'm
go and
pretty sure
vote.
it's
I'm
4,
pretty
right?
sure most of them are gonna take those 4 hours and go and do something.
As long as they vote, as long as they vote, that's the kicker.
But I think that's a wonderful opportunity, is make that day the youth vote day, do burgers outside, have a party atmosphere, get the Twitter thing going. You know, like radio station there.
And you get Chris
But that's where, okay, here's a perfect example. Great ideas coming from the older sibling. No, hear me out. This is what we've been talking about though, is, okay, here come the great ideas. Yeah, we need time, need help. We can help get those volunteers, okay? That's what the older demographic's really good at. Because time crunch and don't have it, it's reality. So that's us working in parallel universe. Pardon me?
Is that an issue of people of your knowing how to vote, your age?
That's another issue.
Am I eligible?
That's just it, like, do you know?
So we
how
want to get back to
register?
like
Are you-
elections
Do you
101.
know where to go?
Yeah.
Do you realize you can get time off of work? All these things.
And I mean, just for
You get a free bus ride.
way down the road, but
You know?
my mom was pointing out to me the fact that the only reason that I know anything about politics is because my parents raised me in a way that they were involved in politics. So we were taken to and helped out at offices, at MLA offices and stuff like that. So
Hats off to mom.
futures down the road is get
Yeah.
your kids involved. Make
Actually, when
it work for
Helena
them.
Conans put forth the idea of having it at Cherry Lane, one of her ideas or visions was, Mommy, what are they doing? You know, because it is a public
I
venue.
have to tell you that last year, or the year and a half before, when we had the by-election at the care home, even for me, that was off-putting to go to a care home. It was my election choice.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sure there's not a lot of
And the
19-year-olds
parking,
that
the
are
whole
walking
thing
there.
was ridiculous.
Yes, she's right. You don't see a lot of 19 and 20-year-olds thinking
No,
it's great to go to the
intimidating.
care.
No.
I just wanted to mention
They-
something on the whole, I think the bus idea for the mall is an excellent idea for free bus to and from the mall
Yeah.
on the day for advanced voting. And to make it happen, you just need somebody to go down to the CEO of the city, get it put on the next meeting,
Agenda.
and request it.
Okay.
True.
Well, this is the thing, is I love the idea, it's how the reality of it. So a vote was taken, it took enough discussion and whatnot, even to put forth an advanced poll at Cherry Lane. So it's worth looking into, but what I'd like to try to do is work with what we have and focus on, okay, most of them, I would like to say can get themselves to Cherry Lane. I'm not saying, I just don't want the magic bullet to be the free bus ride to get them to Cherry Lane. Because I think then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait, we can't do that. But oh, so let's.
There's just one more thing.
Exactly.
Maybe if you can get on there.
Absolutely, and I mean, we could try to get it on the agenda. Why not? Like, but it was like it came up and then kind of went away.
The election is a tiny little drop.
It's a drop in the bucket. Heck, if our group can raise enough money, we'll pay for it, right? Oh, we can't. That would be the incentive that we're not allowed to do. See, there's all these caveats. Go ahead, Bob.
One thing we haven't really got into is what questions can we ask the candidates that will bring the younger voter out?
Well, that's what we will do moving forward, and that's a great way to kind of
find out what they're
come together here. Obviously, we can't do this just by ourselves. This is why we're having this meeting, to say, okay, hey guys, hands up. Who wants to get involved? Who wants to help search out the right members of this group to collectively come up with some really fantastic questions from, for the candidates rather, that we will be having this forum for, and that means coming up with a group of youth. And I know that Amy Woodruff, who I was talking about that Yes Project, she has a group already. They'd probably be a natural group to turn to say, hey, here's a great project for your group. What's in fact, that's already been done. That report is out and it's public information. There was a huge meeting that was attended by the Governor General back in the spring, fall, time issues, where the report was released, and what are the major issues facing youth today. Do you know what one of their #1 issues was? They feel completely ignored by the city.
Yes. I would agree.
And if that's the case, let's not throw everybody into the same, because there's enough of us in there, and I see it in our Facebook group, where the older voter is kind of educating and kind of saying, oh, great idea, or whatever, to some of those ones, or hats off to you, Olivia, for doing this, but they're the rare gems, you know? So let's step back and let those rare gems sort of float to the surface a little bit, let the youth portion of Time for Change over there moderate and help work with them, and let's get some money behind this, and let's get a solid group of candidates together that we can really...
What are your next steps in terms of forming Vision Penticton then? Are you going to be a not-for-profit? How does that work?
Okay, it's called an elector organization. It's an official designation by Elections BC.
So you need a board or...
That's... Yeah. So, next on the agenda, how can you help? Yes. Thanks for moving us in there, okay? I have paperwork. And what we have to do is register with the Chief Electoral Officer of Penticton as Vision Penticton. We do not have to, at this time, say who are the candidates. But what we do have to have is an executive committee. So I'm going to throw that back to you guys. Who wants to be involved with this? And then those names will go on. And then first and foremost, because it's a huge criterion, and that's so that everything's completely transparent and all of the above, I need a financial officer. So we're looking for somebody, it can be a bookkeeper, a chartered accountant, but some kind of somebody who's got financial experience. Because the financial officer is actually quite key, because money will come into the campaign and go out, come in, go out. And all of that information has to be filed from the BC side of elections campaign, so that we are...
So pretty much the same job as the candidates' agents then?
Pretty much. It's almost identical actually, but the difference is we can back several candidates. But yes, it's almost identical to them. People?
Are these positions that should be taken up by young people?
No, this is Vision Penticton. This is the older sort of, you're talking about the parallel?
Okay.
So you wait there.
It could be young vision. It can be.
If they want to.
though.
Yeah.
Because that would be a
Yeah.
Oh, we
conflict.
can't, well, actually, they're not allowed to, so, yeah, exactly.
What are
So,
all the positions that are available?
let me get the paperwork.
Financial officer is definitely one.
Yeah, and I actually need a, okay, so essentially, this is what it looks like, guys. It's called the Elector Organization Endorsement Package. And I was on the phone for about, well, actually close to 2 hours with Greg McDonald, and he is the Chief Electoral Officer for the province of British Columbia, and was extremely helpful in all of this. Essentially, we need our elector organization endorsement documents, a declaration of the authorized principal officer, so there's a position, and then any other responsible principal officers, and the financial officer. That's the executive, but for other positions that we need help with, generally the campaign team includes a manager, sort of responsible for overseeing the entire operation, somebody to spearhead fundraising, a communications coordinator, a canvassing organizer, and I mentioned a financial person too, and then it also is helpful to have a volunteer coordinator as well. So it's like running a campaign basically. It really is. Any other?
Was that this
Okay, sorry, I got confused myself for a minute. This is a completely separate list from the list that we even included, like,
That was
something
for
separate?
our interviewing.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Then there's the list, and we want a team, and it'll probably fall under like a coordinator to liaise with Time for Change, because they will be very much about the youth issues and whatnot, and maybe we'll have somebody on Vision Penticton who is youth, but Marissa's making reference to we'll need help coordinating that pile of questions that we will have for the interviews.
Interviewing all the candidates, we'll want to bring a few other people in.
Oh, yeah.
To help with that.
Representing different areas.
Yes,
Exactly, like business, Indian men,
Will you just appoint
youth,
somebody
senior.
on that vision?
Sorry?
Should liaison between all of the job description?
Yeah, because the online forum will be for both groups. And then after that, then we make our decision. And then they'll just keep chatting away about it. Yeah, exactly. Andrew had a question?
Maybe you answered what Kevin asked earlier, but how are you going to vet other political groups or other people who are going to say, I want you guys to help lobby my position on GMOs, on this, on that, and sort of make sure that these motherhood statements don't get sidetracked by issue X or issue Y or situations that happened in the past or didn't happen in the past, whatever. Like, how are you going to help formulate those?
Well, communication is typically the goal on that, is typically the answer on that. If we're all aligned with, the top three really, then we should be okay. The discussion group, will always stay that way, Andrew. So you want to talk GMOs, well, it'll be up to the moderators of Time for Change to decide, is that really something? But the Vision Penticton will be a very succinct, it's the mandate and succinct issues that those questions that will be collaborated on will stick to topic on those, because those are the priority issues as opposed to mandate.
What's the cutoff date to get that paperwork in?
It's the same as any other nomination. Let me just grab the actual dates for that memory issues. Oh, so many dates. It's October 10, but our goal is obviously you can do I would like to have this all done within the next week to 10 days, so that we can then, from a PR standpoint, make a statement go public, build some momentum, pull those candidates out of the closet, and start interviewing.
And how many members do you have on the Facebook page?
3,149.
Then you need to put that up on the Facebook page and ask for volunteers.
Yes, we do.
Yes,
And
you do.
but we need the core volunteers.
No, I need for that, for your chief electoral or your chief accountant. You need to ask all the people that are interested in having a voice, that didn't have a chance to come to this meeting tonight,
Yeah.
whether or not they would like to be involved in that.
Do we
That way-
collectively agree on that?
Yeah.
Perfect, because we were throwing this idea out tonight. So if you guys think this is a way to go, then we will take it to the group. And then, but we're trying to be very clear, because we tried this a little bit about 3 weeks ago, and they saw it as a dictatorship. You can't tell me who to vote for. So it's going to be the wording on all of it, and yeah, because that's the fear is. So it's kind of like, hey, this is what some of us want to do. Come and join us if you want to, kind of thing. So tonight was just testing the waters to see if this is something you feel is the right direction to go, and if it is, we're off to the races. But thank you for asking.
Can we have descriptors of the positions and what the responsibilities of those positions are also posted on the page?
Absolutely, and in fact, that sign-up sheet, what I'd love is before you leave, can you just put a little star beside your name so that I know that to contact you, to formalize things a little bit, because it's actually, I could even, I'll set up a public Dropbox and email you guys a link to the Dropbox, because quite frankly, they're pretty loosey-goosey, these descriptions. It's basically, hey, what you really want to take a look at, why did I leave everything over here? And I'll put this in the Dropbox as well. This is the elector organization guide. So everything you want to know about elector organizations, but we're afraid to, it's all in here. So this is, and it will give you, like, it's got everything to the rules and regulations of your responsibilities as a electoral organization, about advertising events, your telephone banks, canvassing. It's all in here. But what I'd like to do is for that executive, we need that form fairly quickly so that we can move forward. I will put it out on the Facebook page. I can see it now though. S is gonna hit the fan.
You just have to keep it not so serious.
Hey guys,
Is that something you can sort of like, everybody can rally the troops and get them to come forward, and possibly that there's another meeting on Thursday, or I don't know if that's too long, or maybe Monday, and that is when these people are going to be selected?
Yeah, who partakes in that? Like, because I mean, some could say that maybe this was already formed beforehand, who's part of the board. Like, is there going to be another meeting? No, I know, but we're just showing what else so some people can swear.
It's transparency.
Yeah,
Is what he's saying.
exactly.
Okay, that's the word I needed here.
There
Yeah,
you
no,
go.
we'll just say, hey, we had an informal meeting tonight. We tossed out the idea. This is what we're thinking.
Yeah.
Would you like to participate? Is that what we're kind of?
No, but for the next,
Okay.
the kind of next meeting, be the one where everybody can decide who they want for that board. Like, can you find a way where?
We can have 50 people on that board. It
Yeah.
actually
Okay.
doesn't matter. There's no hierarchy here, guys. It could go this deep. Like, and we only need at least 50 members to officially register them. Otherwise we are an official electoral organization.
How do we be members?
You sign a piece of paper, we get actually a fast way tonight to do it would just say, can you put a check mark if you want to be a member, because your information's already there, and an asterisk if you want to be part of the executive, and a check mark and an asterisk if you want to be a member. Okay, I'm obviously getting tired and my blood sugar's dropping. Yes?
My name is Dawn Russell, and I'm a member of the Penticton Indian Band. I don't have the right to vote.
Yes, you do.
I do.
Yes, you do. And you know what?
You know what? And this is
Here. I know. This is me off.
for years that I can't vote. I went to go get a library card. I can't get one of those.
Yeah, why can't she give us library cards?
Because
She doesn't live in Indiana land.
But she
does
not.
In the Canadian Elections Act, any member of any Indian band in Canada are entitled to vote in any election.
Yeah.
And pass that around.
And yeah, because I've heard that
Well,
from
you,
so many
let's get you
vendors.
involved then. Let's get you involved to help spread the word.
I would love to be, it's something
Fantastic.
I'd love to do. And so when you guys were talking about involvement from an Indian band member, about asking questions, it's, I just got my communications degree and I'd love to ask some really.
Oh,
Advocating I'd like to do.
So that's an asterisk, right? That's gonna be asterisk.
Pictures of words like that shareables on the Facebook page that say things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's why we're trying to videotape it tonight, you guys.
Like for example, did you know that you can
Graphics.
get time off work to go vote?
Yeah.
Did you know that
Oh, I see, yeah.
as a band member you can vote?
Can I test you, Ashley, with a list of ones that you want? Because basically that's what I do I've been doing all the graphics. So send me the did you know, send me the words and I'll make them happen. It's a great idea. And we'll put it on Vision Penticton and Time for Change. That's what I mean. We're all in this together, but we really need to.
Well, like I can start a thread on the Time for Change and see what do people want to see.
Yeah.
Sure.
I was just gonna say, if you know anything about youth, they will stop at the drop of a hat to read a meme.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
If there's oh, absolutely. I know. That's why we put pictures up.
Right on
And then tweet. And what we also would want to do as we evolve here is have some of those ambassadors be able to tweet as part of Time for Change Twitter account. They're great tweets. So, and if you want, hopefully we left enough space on those sign-up sheets. If not, just flip the page and say what you're actually interested in specifically in helping with.
Can I just or do you want it on the sheet?
I just want it on the sheet because
It's hard to put paper
overwhelmed.
and stuff together, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, both. Go nuts. Go crazy. Yes.
We had a question there.
Oh yeah, I was just wondering if there's any way we could tap into the V's crowd somehow without overstepping any boundaries, because that's
It's a great idea.
biggest, nights of any week, you're gonna have all the young population.
Absolutely. In fact, that will probably be able to happen. So as long as we're not there as a political movement, we can't do it as a political movement. We can be outside.
You can do it as an education.
We can be outside as an education movement.
And that's where
Educate the younger voter. Exactly. See, Time for Change, bam, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Time for Change can be out there handing out some fun, whatever swag we come up with.
As long as you're not talking about a
It's a
candidate.
great idea.
Yeah, as long as you're not talking about a candidate, you can
You
talk
can
about
list them.
voting all you want. Get out and vote, where you can vote, how you can vote, what age
The
you can
advanced vote.
And there is no holds barred on locals supporting locals. You're free to do whatever and say whatever you want.
Yeah, I just lost my train of thought on the, it was kind of like what Rock the Vote tried to do, and, but I like the Bees game idea a lot.
That's where all the youth are gonna be at one.
They do, my son's one.
And
They troll.
Are all the games sold out?
Oh, God, no.
Usually? No?
No.
But they get good crowds, 2,900 to 3,200. It's a
The
respectable crowd.
whatever they call it, the games that are going on this weekend.
The young stars.
Oh,
Yeah.
But you could also use the screen, just to promote voting.
That's something we can talk to with the city on that, because you know what? We're not saying vote our candidates, we're saying vote. And in fact, at one point they had talked about doing something. You see, you're allowed to motivate youth to vote. You just can't walk them to the ballot box and tell them who to vote for. So it's a very fine line, but handled strategically, I think it'd be really successful.
What about working with the movie theater?
And there's another great idea.
Because, before every movie is a screen full of entertainment garbage.
Buy some ads.
Yeah, just buy an ad
Those
space,
slides,
talking to
that's
the youth about
slides.
voting, what dates are voting,
Yep,
where they.
another great idea. I'm sure the city would pick up the tab for that, right?
What about the crowds?
Everyone to share,
No, really, because we're not saying any
and
particular.
the East game on the big screen, voting is such and such a day.
Yep.
Matt's voting such and such a day.
And we can make it fun though, with youth in mind. Like it really is, your vote counts, whatever we want to come up with. But sort of a branding, I'm sorry, but that's what I do for a living. A branding that ties it together that's basically saying, you have a voice here. You know, like, and we need your voice. That's really what started to happen at the beginning, was they were feeling heard. And now they're getting a little bit snuffed. So let's.
Can I just go back to Time for Change and that group of people that were leaving, the people that were leaving to go to the oil fields and that sort of thing? How are you hoping to get a hold of them? Have you got some sort of strategy to get those?
Mainly social media. When they're out on the oil fields, they're doing their 12 hours and then they're Facebooking and sleeping. That's what they do. My old man works out of town. Every person, every girlfriend I know, their husband works out of town.
A big part of it for us is who we know. A big part of it for us is who we know.
Exactly.
We have a group of friends and they're born and raised, and the networking amongst 4 or 5 of us is in the thousands in this town.
It's unbelievable. Like, we held a fundraiser, was it last year? We raised like $40,000 in one, or was it $60,000 in one day.
And that was just everybody's heads together for one cause.
Like,
so it's powerful.
we can move mountains if we, you know.
Marissa, how do those people, I mean, it's advanced poll, but there's another different version of advanced poll for somebody that's out of town, is there?
Is there a mail-in?
If only there was online voting.
No, there's mail-in.
There's mail-in.
Yeah, there's a mail-in vote.
Youth don't mail in.
No.
I don't think Zoom even knows what stamp is.
No, it's called email.
Yeah. If there was
No, I wish, if we had electronic voting,
Yeah.
we wouldn't even need to be in this room.
Yeah.
You know? Sorry, I have a
Did you
question.
get that though?
Yeah, my question is, okay, I started watching this, and Tracy, she knows me, and there's actually quite a few people
Who are
around
you?
here. My name's Mike Toddrich,
Mike? Okay.
and a lot of people know me, and when I started watching this on Facebook, because I got invited, and I've got dozens of friends that are so-called friends of this thing, and when it got started, the whole idea was, to my outside view, is the young people presenting it to the people. Now, from what I see here, no offense to anybody here, there is no young person presenting it to the people.
Why is
The
that?
object was the young people, her in specifically, she presented it, she got this ball going. Why is she all of a sudden cut off from being the front center person? Because she is the one that actually got people energetic about it, the youth. Now, like you guys were saying, now the older people are now taking over because there's older people taking control. Let the young people have the control, and the young people will come. This is just something I've observed.
Right. Did you just walk into the meeting?
No, I've been here for a while.
Okay, quite frankly, there is no control, absolute control. Like we discuss all these things behind the scenes, but it's just Jennifer is very, very good at doing presentations. We started this as a discussion. We started Time for Change as a discussion group. Sure, there was an event that happened in Penticton that a comment by a counselor set some people off. I personally was an attendee of Boomstock. I am not I'm a headbag once in a while, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm a mother of 3, I'm a hockey mom, and, a blood donor. So
clearly you've been straining
But having a young person present it to the
that's what
young
we're
people.
trying to do.
And that's just it, like,
That's the
there
key.
is an issue. Civics
That's
haven't
so
been
good.
taught in schools since 1970.
Right.
People
The key is a
are
young person
afraid
like me
of
to do it.
one thing.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Censorship has been an issue as well, because there have been some abusive and constant posts where we ended up having to just delete the original post, and that was something that you know, it was very close to me. I'm totally against censorship.
But the group is just using
Yes,
their
freedom of
mind.
speech is the key for a young person.
Exactly, and
It is.
to explain to them in a way without scaring them off right off the hop.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So basically introducing the idea of an electoral organization where
It's gonna be scary.
it is going to be
really scary.
super scary, but the key is asking for help and asking for volunteers and asking for input and not just saying we need volunteers for this, but being very specific. We need, you know, a couple of liaisons from the Penticton Indian Band for discussions on, you know, how we can, you know, make some improvements economically and whatever it is. You know, youth. It would be great to get a couple of youth people from the college, from the local college to come in and have something to say. My grandma lives in this town. I'm all about having, you know, a couple of senior voters in there too.